Well, the Marys they've seen Jesus. They fell at his feet and held on to him, and he told them to go tell the disciples that he would see them in Galilee, and the guards had been bribed, and the story had been circulated that Jesus, his body had been stolen by the disciples, and so any kind of nonsense about Jesus being actually risen from the dead was it was just a lie. Liar, liar, pants on fire. He didn't even wear pants, I guess. Liar, liar, toga on fire. Verse 16, then the 11 disciples, remember, we're down to 11 because Judas committed suicide, went to Galilee, to the mountain where Jesus had told them to go. I don't know, it's called the Mount of Ascension. I wish we had a little more information, because Jesus told him to go, and that's something, I think he would have said something very important is going to happen there. We're not given like a location to verify. All right, verse 17, when they saw him, they worshiped him. This is one of the most amazing phrases, this next phrase, in my opinion, in the entire Bible. But some doubted. I don't know. How do I explain that? Well, I'll explain it with my own life's experience. I've been following Jesus since I was 9 or 10. So 60 some years now. And I have so much compiled evidence of the faithfulness of God. I would, if someone else had that kind of evidence stacked up and they didn't believe, I'd say they were just an idiot. I'm just an idiot, because there are times when, in spite of how much God has done in my life, and the fact that I know it wasn't, this wasn't coincidence, there was nothing accidental about it. It was God. Me knowing that, identifying the moments, I still doubt. I don't like making that admission. I don't like that it's true. So I can't be too critical of these few disciples. We don't even know which of the disciples this was true of. You might think Thomas, because in the other gospel narratives, Jesus appears to the disciples and Thomas is not there. When Thomas gets there, Jesus is gone, and the other disciples, with excitement, tell him that they had seen Jesus. And Thomas said, unless I put my hand in his side and my finger in his hand, I will not believe. Then there was that moment, Jesus was present, and Thomas was there. And Jesus said, Thomas, put your finger in my hand, your hand in my hand, and your hand into my side. It's me. Thomas fell to his knees and cried out, my Lord and my God. I'm not sure I would put Thomas in this group who still doubted. I think the deal was sealed with him. I don't know. Well, okay. this is no accusation. It's just an observation. I'm not the only one who is a true follower of Jesus, but has moments of doubt. Much as we wish we hadn't had that, much as I'll speak for myself, and it might be true of you, much as I want to be like Peter and Paul. I want to be so full of faith and no doubt whatsoever, no reservations. I have doubts. I have reservations. There's an interesting thing about that most interesting phrase, but some doubted. We're going to hear from Jesus in a moment. He doesn't address their doubt. He doesn't reprimand them for it. He doesn't condemn them for it. He makes no comment about their faith. Verse 18. Then Jesus came to them and said, all authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. Pause. Realize what that means? If all authority in heaven and on earth had been given to him, there was no higher authority. The buck stopped with him in terms of authority. All the authority there is had been given to him, has been. By whom? His Father. Have you ever talked to somebody who is not just large and in charge, but somebody who really had authority, knew how to use it and not abuse it? Those folks are not hard to follow. They're confident, and they are not just confident, they're also competent. You put those two things together, in my opinion, that's the prototype leader. That's the kind of leader I dream of being. Although I don't lead anything anymore, so I suppose it's moot. Well, Jesus said this to the disciples. It's almost as if he was saying, hey. Okay. First of all, get this. All authority has been given to me. All the authority in heaven, all the authority on earth has been given to me. And then he says in verse 19, therefore, because of that, because of his authority, go and make disciples of all nations. Let's man, let's put ourselves in the disciples' sandals for a minute. Go, and the tense of this verb could also be read as you go. And yet it also could be a commission to go and make disciples. How does one make disciples? That's a question the church has been trying to answer for, I don't know, only about 2,000 years. I take that back. I think John, James, Peter, later Paul, I think they didn't need a workshop on how to make disciples. They went and made disciples. How? They hung out with them. They taught them. And I think this was by direct teaching as well as by those they were making disciples of in their direct observation. They practiced what they preached, but they preached it. To make disciples is still the calling of every follower of Jesus. It wasn't this commission. This is called the Great Commission, and this commission was it didn't go out of effect when the 11 died. I mean, I believe this is a commission for all true believers. Make disciples. I've talked to a lot of sincere believers who feel like they're just not smart enough. They don't know enough of the Bible. They don't know theology. They're not good at public speaking, and I can't do that. Well, think about this. The disciples hadn't read any theological treatise. They'd not been to any kind of seminary training. In fact, later on in the book of Acts, which I think we're going to look at next, the rulers, the chief priests and rulers said, these men are uneducated, but they've been with Jesus. Okay, that's the formula. It's not stay uneducated. No. But walk with Jesus. And when I walk with Jesus and I bring somebody along, I'm going to make disciples. Maybe we make it too complicated. The team I was on at Canyon Ridge spent most of a year trying to figure out how do we build the tools, infrastructure, programming for making disciples. I think we made it much too complex. And I won't say it failed, but it never went as far as we wanted it to. And I'm thinking now, and this is what, 15, not quite 15 years later, I'm looking at it and thinking, we tried to educate people into discipleship. And yes, that's part of it, but to educate the mind is only part of it. If my heart is sold out to Jesus, I'm going to be imperfect. There are going to be things I don't understand and things that I am going to be ignorant of, even important things. But if my heart is devoted to Jesus, that's going to show up in the way I live. And when I draw another person, and this is my strong opinion, of the same gender, the same sex, into this tight relationship where they see me live as well as hear me talk, I think that's maybe the surest way to make disciples. It is about what I say, and it is about what I do. Both. Never or. It's and. Both. Always. And the disciples got it. Because within less than a generation, the church exploded into the Roman Empire. And disciples were made. I'm going to pause there because the rest is, there's too much there for me to finish in the 20-some seconds that I've got left. So I'm going to shut it down for today and come back to it next time on Soul Care with Stevie.